To Hibernate tutorial. In this tutorial, we will cover the topic Hibernate transaction management. So, first of all, we will discuss what is transaction. A transaction simply represents a unit of work. In such case, if one step fails, the whole transaction fails. And the transaction can be described by the acid principle: atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. So in Hibernate, we do have this concept of transaction management. Transaction in Hibernate, we Hibernate has provided one transaction interface, and this interface consists of some methods, and those methods, with the help of those methods, we do the transaction management. So in Hibernate framework, we have transaction interface that define the unit of work. It maintains abstraction from the transaction management, for example, JTA or JDBC. A transaction is associated with the session. So we can get the object of transaction from the session. So how we get that? We have this method session.begin transaction. It will create the transactions, and after that we can do our operations like insert or update or merge, and after that we can commit the transaction. So what are the various methods available in the transaction? First method is void begin. So this method will start the transaction. Void begin, it will start a new transaction. Then we have void commit, it end the unit of work. So unless we have not committed the transaction, so it will not be reflected in the database. Then we have this rollback. It will force the transaction to roll back. Suppose in some scenario you need that if some exception occurred, then it should roll back whole data. So with the help of this rollback, we can roll back our previous commits. Then we have set timeout. This function, it sets a transaction timeout for a transaction started by the subsequent call to begin on this instance. For example, we want a transaction should be timeout after a particular second or particular interval of time. Then we can set its value in set timeout function. Then after that, we have this method is alive. It will check if the transaction is still alive or not. Then we have was commit. It check with if the transaction is committed successfully. Then we have register synchronization. It register a user synchronization callback for this transaction. Then last one is was rollout back. It check if transaction is roll out successfully. So out of these all methods, we have this begin, commit, rollback, or these are the three important part which we frequently use. And other than this, we rarely use this. We use this in particular scenarios or any particular operations. So in this chapter, what we have covered what is transaction and what are its various methods, and how the transaction, this Hibernate transaction management work in the Hibernate. So in our next tutorial, we will see with the help of an example